If you're a new mom thinking of traveling with your baby for the first time, this video is for you. I recently flew from Porto to London and I'm going to share my experience, things that work for me, things I regret buying. Stick with me because at the end I will share one unexpected moment that happened to us that completely changed how we see flying with babies forever. In this video, I'm going to cover 5 things. The first one is the role of the culture and country that you're flying from. The second, what is your luggage allowance when you're traveling with a baby? Then I'm going to share my favorite items that made my whole journey a breeze. Items that didn't work at all, even if they were hyped on internet. And lastly, I'm going to share one moment that was very personal and completely changed how I see flying with kids. So, you preparing for your first flight and probably you're panicking a bit, making your list, what to take, what not to take, watching some videos about it. But there is one thing that people don't talk enough, and this is to do research on the culture of the country and how they treat families with kids, because it made a huge difference. I want to share my experience because we flew from Porto and it was the most amazing experience I can dream of for my first flight, because people in Portugal really respect families with kids, pregnant women, people with disabilities and elder people. And they even have a law, so you can see this kind of sign in many places, which basically tells that you have the priority. As soon as we arrived and we went through security and then we had to go through passport control, we even didn't have to ask we need priority because there's this law. People actually approach us. So we stand to regular queue for passport control, and then one gentleman came and said, well, just follow me, with the baby you have priority. So we skipped the whole queue and we're the first ones to go through it, which was really nice and saved us a lot of time. While our experience in London was completely different. London, it's so different. They have way more people, more noise, and you feel that rush, constant rush, which can be very, very stressful. And I felt that staff didn't communicate properly where we have to go. And if they didn't explain, then when I go through security check, I can't go with baby. So they took my baby. And then my husband tried to take the baby from the staff. And they were like, no, I can't give you a baby because your wife gave a consent. And yeah, so I was really disappointed, really anxious with the whole situation. So I would say definitely do research and see what you can expect in different countries. If you're flying with Ryanair, probably you're wondering what you can take on board. We flew with non-priority, so I and my husband had our little backpacks. And then for the baby, you can take 2 items that you can either check in at the desk or take it with you during boarding process. When I mentioned that you can take 2 items, stroller and car seat, or if your stroller contains from 2 parts, you have to give them separately, it would be considered as 2. So if you need a 3rd item, you would need to pay for it and check in separately. And stick with me because later I'm going to share one secret, how to take more stuff if you need. And lastly, you can take a diaper bag, which was also very helpful. And if you check the dimensions, they actually bigger than adults' personal allowance. Since I mentioned my little hack, let's go to the next part where I share my favorite items. Item number 1 is this stroller bag. As you know, your stroller will go to cargo, and this bag is not only to protect your stroller from scratches or just making sure it doesn't break, it also protects from the dust because we don't know what's happening in cargo, right? So this is my little secret. If you're not checking your stroller, you're going to take it all the way to the gate. And there they would ask you, are you taking stroller? Are you taking car seat? And in our case was yes, we're taking a stroller, but we want to go all the way to the plane and we're going to put it in the bag. So what they did, they put little label on the bag, which means when we were putting stroller inside the bag, we could add extra stuff. So if you have extra clothes or something, you can just kind of put it in the bag and then give it at the plane. My second tip would be to bring some new items, and this is something what I took for my baby boy. Because as you know, kids get used to the toys, and I think why it has to be new and something unseen, because in critical situations it might be life-saving. This is something new, they would get excited, and yeah, just bring something that your baby hasn't played before. My third item that made my trip way easier is this inflatable pillow. It's just a regular one that you can use for camping, and I inflated it not fully, so it's kind of soft, and it was really helpful because I put it under my elbow while I was holding my baby boy, and even at the end of the flight he managed to fall asleep, so it was kind of his little bed. Of course it's not a proper bed, but still. And last but not least is a carrier, because if you decide to give your stroller at the check-in desk and you want to have your hands free, you can just, you know, carry your baby on your belly next to you and have your hands free and do a little shopping or have your lunch before hopping on that flight. But not everything was a win. Before my flight, I did huge research on what items I should take, and one thing was so hyped up, and I spent money because in theory it seems like amazing. This is definitely something that you should bring on board with your baby, but nah, didn't work, and I definitely regretted spending money on it. Headphones. I mean, on the picture demonstration looked okay, but in reality I was very disappointed, and I'm a bit upset with myself because I didn't test it before and it takes quite a lot of space. So basically it's supposedly to put on your baby's head, but as you can see, this strap would go on the forehead, almost on the eyes if you want to match your airline. And you know, we tried different variations to put it a bit higher, this one a bit lower, but it was a fail. Baby didn't like it, he was screaming, he tried to pull it off, it would go on his eyes. So I just like, whatever, I'm not gonna using it. And instead of that, I just covered his ear with my hand, and it did the job. So yeah, don't bother spending money on it. I was anxious. It's my first flight with a baby. It's completely different world. But then while we were queuing to get on the plane, outside it was windy, cold, and the plane wasn't prepared, so the staff was still restocking everything. And I was just covering baby from wind. We were sharing with husband, like we were making turns. And then when they started letting people on the plane, I still felt that we're very at the end of the queue, and was kind of trying to see if we can go in front, because again, in UK they don't have that priority. And then the lady behind us, she was like, just go in front, it's fine. And I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yes, go. And then other people saw us, and all the queue, like it was kind of, you know, that snowball effect of kindness. Everyone were like, yes, just go in front. And it was so nice. And then the lady was like, well, I also have a daughter. I really understand what you go through. And then I realized people sometimes might not be vocal about it, but they see you, they see that you might be struggling a bit, and you don't even have to have conversation. Sometimes you just know that eye contact, like I feel you, I see you, that's all you need. And then I try to remind myself that people can have kids-free life, but they can't have kids-free world. And they just have to accept it, that there's gonna be crying babies all the time. I know it might be scary, but I always say you just have to start doing it. And when you do, when you put yourself in those situations, you'll learn through doing it, and next time you would feel way more confident. I promise you, I will be more confident for sure, and I'm already preparing for my next flight. Thank you very much for watching, and share this video with moms that are going to flight soon. I hope you find it useful. Please like and subscribe this video. Thank you. Bye.